We're focusing on the Carolina-Clemson rivalry, Michael. So I want to move to the 2011 series. And I actually forgot about this. That first game, because I'm pretty sure it was the first game you started. That game was played in Charleston. I forgot you guys played that game at Joe Riley Park. And you started that one, went 7 1/3, 4 hits, gave up an earned run, 2 walks, 7 Ks, 102 pitches, kind of similar to the 2010 outing. And again, you had guys like Forrest Kumis, Tyler Webb, Ethan Carter, Nolan Belcher come in, and you guys get the 3-2 win. Really, really close game. You guys scored actually in extra innings, 2 runs in the top of the 11th. Just talk about that game again, pitching in Charleston, what you remember specifically from that one.
I remember getting balled on a super tight call from the umpire, and I still remember the umpire's name, and I probably called him a name that I shouldn't have. And luckily he didn't throw me out. But that's what I remember from that game. Like I was fired up that game, and I think we played a good game. It was tight, but I just remember there was one moment there where there was like a big pitch, and he balled me on it. The next pitch was like a hit that I think it cost me the run actually, and it fired me up. And then I got pulled, which was probably good. I mean, whenever I was overexcited like that wasn't good for me to throw like that. I was never effective at that point. But that's really all I remember from that game.
And again, most importantly, you guys get the win. Michael, switching gears just a little bit, because I want to ask you, we were just talking about Omaha, and again, you guys went back-to-back, 10 and 11, went back in 12, which it's so funny. I feel like that 12 team is like disrespected or underappreciated because you guys didn't win the whole thing. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, went all the way to the final. But I'll ask you, I'm sure it's kind of tough to pinpoint for you because you're just out there kind of doing your job, you're not really thinking about it. But when you look back, is there anything specifically that you feel like you elevated your game when you were in Omaha specifically? Because your numbers in Omaha I don't think will ever be touched. I mean, I think you're the only pitcher to ever make 8 or 9 appearances. I mean, it's crazy. And again, when you go 3 years in a row, that's going to happen. But your numbers in Omaha jump off the page. Was there anything specifically that you can point to? Do you feel like you elevated your game, or was it just as simple as sticking to what you knew and you had great defense and hitters around you and great teams around you, and you just kind of did your job and were the beneficiary of that? I mean, what would you credit that to?
Yeah, I think it would really just be the team that we had. I think when we went to Omaha, I wouldn't even say that we elevated our game. I think the mindset that we had and adopted carried into Omaha, and we were a really good tournament team, except the SEC tournament. But we knew how to handle adversity, and we knew that we had this kind of attitude of us versus them, and them was everybody else not in the dugout. And sometimes even them was like the coaching staff. And so I think that just helped us come together and be a really good team. And when the pressure got notched up a little bit, you rarely saw those turn into errors on our part,
right,
or mental mistakes, or issues that we could have had corrected. We typically played near flawless defense when we were out there, and we pitched really well. And then we got the hits when we needed them. And I think just that mindset of the team allowed everybody to perform outstanding, when we would go to Omaha, and just be, guys would have really good individual performances. And I was fortunate enough to be able to do that. But I think there was a number of guys that were able to do that because of the team that we had.
For sure. And of course, you guys go back to back. I want to move, Michael, to that 2012 game because, again, you get Clemson on Friday night in Columbia. And the stat line's actually interesting. This one, again, you went 7 innings, 7 hits, but you gave up 3 runs and 0 of them were earned, which I think is really interesting. 3 walks, 6 strikeouts through 105 pitches. You guys win the game 6-3, ho-hum. But I want to go to a specific moment that is I always love watching on YouTube, which is the pickoff. And I forget who it was for Clemson, but he gets in a rundown, long story short, and you go to tag him, and there's a little bit of a forearm shiver there. And I think you took a little bit of exception to it. Can you recall like the words that were exchanged? 'Cause I feel like you kind of held back, but you could certainly tell you were pissed off. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah. Again, I would say like I am still like this today, where I probably hate losing more than I like winning, and so like people on the other teams, I kind of just like I start to hate them. And I felt like whoever that was slid into me and like tried to, I don't know, not, like either throw an elbow or like something at me. And I just wanted to let them know that that was not okay. I don't necessarily remember what exactly was said. But I'm sure, it wasn't PG rated.
Right.
And again, like the emotions are so elevated at that time that you're fired up. You're pitching with a lot of emotion, and things like that can just kind of spiral. Thankfully nothing happened. There was nothing like super major that, we didn't break into like a Carolina Clemson football brawl or anything. But yeah, I do remember that moment. And I was not happy, but I'm sure I felt like it wasn't a good slide in. And I mean, it felt like he was trying to do something, and I just told him I didn't like it.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that.